welcome to the Texas Real Estate Show. My name's Steve Williams, and we talk about everything real estate related, whether you're an owner, whether you're a renter, or you want to buy a home, sell a home, or you want to invest in property, or you even want to invest in property in the future. Please contact us, and we will help all we can, share information, and that's what we want to be, is the information channel about real estate. And I'm here today with my good friend, Kay Johnson. Good morning, Kay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you,
Are you living the
Stephen?
dream?
I am trying. I got my homemade boba.
New boba. Homemade?
Yeah, so they have little kits that you can it's way cheaper than going to the boba place. You spend about $2.50 and you got your little boba.
Yeah, my son's boba big time. Whenever I look at him, he's got a boba thing in his hand.
Yeah, you can't handle it because it's too sweet for you.
Absolutely. Not at my age. Anyway, today what we're going to talk about is there are some changes that have come about with the realtor settlement, which starts this Saturday, July the 17th. And what that involves, it actually changes the way realtors get paid, and it's also going to change the way that the community of people that want to look at houses need to view them houses as well. And how it changes is thus: there are two ways that you can basically look at a home. I personally feel that this settlement is going to affect first-time home buyers and renters more than anybody else. And the reason why I say that is it goes into what actually happens is it plays directly into the hands of the multinational companies, because they can just snap up the properties. They just employ a broker, they employ a sales agent, and they can just snap all the properties up. And basically what happens is, before you can see a home, what you basically have to do is to sign a document. And you can, on that document, you're going to have two options. One is basically a concierge service, where they will go in and they will open up the door. So you will pay a fee that is determined by that realtor to go in to view that house, whether you like it or not, whether it be a rental or whether it be a sale. The second way you can do it is you can agree a percentage that the realtor will request, and that percentage will be paid by the seller. In the event that the seller refuses to pay that, then it's going to fall back on the buyer to pay their fee. So the part that's real difficult about this to me as a realtor is, in Texas, we have always had a part in our listing agreement fee which basically says that commissions are negotiable. So I really don't think that it's very fair on the agents and first-time home buyers. So if you know what I think will happen, I think the end effect of this will be that, unfortunately, I don't think it will solve anything in regarding fair housing costs, low housing costs, and low housing availability. And I do not think it will help first-time home buyers at all, because technically what could happen is first-time home buyers could end up technically paying for their agent's commission. Now, many people will say, well, I will just go to the listing agent. The listing agent, if you do that, is basically not going to represent you in your best interests. Research has been done over the years where if you have an agent that works on your behalf, that they can reduce the commission by up to 17%. That's the average they can reduce it by. I sold a house, one that I'd fixed up in the fall, and I'll be honest with you, the agent that I had was an agent that negotiated with me, did all the right things that she should have done, and she reduced $40,000 off the house. I actually lost on the house, but she did all the right things. She gave me the documentation for all the reasons why I should reduce the cost of the house. She saved her client approximately, I would have said, near $40,000. So, I think the next 6 months are going to be rough, but I think what's going to happen is I think it's a case of educating the public. And also, I think what needs to happen is I did a class yesterday, a contracts class, and we're going to have some agents from different companies come on, maybe next week or the week after, and just get their views on the same issue. And basically, what I think is going to happen is agents are now going to give you what they call their their um, their property value, their proposition, if you want to, their evaluation of the services that they're going to do. What's happened a lot in the past is you've got part-time agents, or everybody knows a realtor, and what's been happening is they haven't really been giving full service, like we've said before on the show, to their clients. What I think this law is going to do is basically get rid of the bad agents out of the business. I think a lot of part-time agents will go out of the business, and basically you will get quality agents stay in the business, and them are the people that we want in the business for everybody. Do you have any comments on that, Kay?
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of say, kind of talk about what we're talking about. If you guys aren't in the know of what the actual changes are, so essentially, we've talked about it on the show before, but there was a lawsuit, and the lawsuit alleged that, the practice that was currently going on violated antitrust laws. So, essentially, it was what the seller's agent charged the home seller's fee. It was like 5 or 6%, and then it was split between the buyer's agent and the seller's agent. So that's what was happening, and now buyers, they didn't have to pay the commission to the realtor that helped them, buy a home. Now they'll be expected to pay for the service, and sellers will pay for the agent. But they don't have to pay for the buyer's agent, essentially.
Well, they don't have to, but what can happen is the seller can contribute to buyer concessions. Do you understand that?
Yeah, no. So
And
I
then
said the sellers will have to pay for their agent, but will no longer have to pay for
right,
the
but
buyer's
that's
agent.
what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yeah.
That how it can be done is the seller can basically pay, contribute to the buyer's closing costs, because in them closing costs, then the buyer's commissions are going to be in there with the agreement is between the buyer.
Yeah. So.
And so, that's a way has been discussed on how the agent's closing costs can be done. But basically, I think it's interesting with what you brought up is for consumers, it's going to be more transparent, and it really should be a smooth process. Said Jamar Hardy, president of the Minneapolis area realtors. Historically, a seller's agent, home sellers a fee, usually 5 or 6%. And that's the part that annoys me about the lawsuit, because they said they always charge 6% and it's fixed at 6%. It's not, okay? Which was then split between the buyer's agent. On a $500,000 home, that would be $30,000 in commission. And that is, of course, for both sides, and that's split between two agents.
Right.
A lawsuit alleged that the standard.
So so we're good.
Okay. Lawsuits alleged that the standard practice violates antitrust laws. What I want to say, I know you said.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting to a point.
Okay. I didn't know.
I'm trying to get to a point.
Okay.
All right. What I'm basically trying to say to people is that the antitrust laws, I don't think it violates an antitrust law, because what happened was in 1996, all right, it was changed then, and it was changed because what came about was they put the amount of commission that the agent would receive in the local multi-listing service in your area.
So
if a seller was paying 3%, they published that 3% on what the seller was willing to pay the buyer.
Yeah.
That's what it was in 96. Now we've gone back to how it was before 1996.
So they're probably, I think, so how long do you think it's going to change?
That's what I was trying to say about the antitrust laws.
So
It's
how,
like, if it was an antitrust law, how can it be an antitrust law if it's like it was prior to 1996?
yeah, and I think what you said earlier was correct, where you said that it's probably the part-time agents are probably going to be pushed out because, the full-time agents take it more seriously, right? And I think you said it before on the podcast where you felt, when we talked about it previously, you said you think that uh, like they weren't taking it as seriously. The part-time agents were probably not taking it as seriously, and that's where the lawsuits, because they weren't being clear with the way that they were processing their commissions. So then consumers, of course, that's how they got into this lawsuit. So
right, we've spoke about the negatives. Let me tell you what I think the positives are going to be with this decision. All right, one, I think transparency is a good thing. Two, I think what also is going to happen is, I think there's going to be companies out there that are now going to be offering cookie cutter programs. So, for example, okay, you want to see a house that's X amount of money. Okay, you want me to write a contract that's X amount of money on top of what you've already done. Do you understand?
mhm.
Then, if you want me to negotiate on your behalf, then that's going to be X amount of money. Now you can take that as a plus or a negative. I think in some ways it's a plus, in some ways it's a negative, but you're going to get companies that do that will charge clients all the way through to the end. But I think you're better off, to me, paying a 2.5% or a 3%.
So when we said it earlier, when you said like it is going to obviously affect the consumer, us, say we're looking to purchase a house and then we have to pay the realtor that's showing us the house. Do you think that that's better for the realtor showing the house? Because obviously you've been a broker for 20 years or so, plus. So do you think that's better? Because, sometimes you have buyers that, I don't want to say waste your time, but they kind of do waste your time, right? You've shown them 30, 40 houses and then they end up not
I've got a few at the
purchasing.
moment that I've been showing houses for over a year.
Yeah, so
I think
do you think it's better
I
for
think
you guys?
I think it. Sometimes I'm very diplomatic with people that I don't want to work with, and I'm saying, well, you know what? I really think X agent down the street is a better agent for you to work with.
Diplomatic is a
I'm
funny
trying
way
to
to
be as
put it.
diplomatic as I can, because in business, you can't help everybody. All right, just like every agent isn't essential to anyone, you know. But what I do think is, at the end of the day, I want everybody to own a house, and that's why I suggest, well, I know a good agent, and they're normally good agents that I refer them to. Why don't you go to so-and-so agent because they've got more time or whatever the reason is. That I think the people it's going to affect more than anything else are new home buyers who have never, new home and first-time home buyers who have never been through the process. They've got to pay for their loan officer to create the loan. They've got to pay for their agent's fees. All right. There's additional costs they've got to pay for. They've got to pay for, their title costs.
Mm-hmm.
You can normally wrap up that if you're looking for a house for $300,000, your closing costs, if you put in, your fees for if you're purchasing a home, maybe 10% to 12% for all your closing costs, and that's not with your down payment. Now, there are some programs out there that I think are going to become more and more popular, like grants and different things to buy homes. So I think they may become more popular because they're going to give you more money, towards your closing costs and your down payment. I think lenders will offer money towards, down payments and such like. Not down payments, but towards closing costs,
Okay.
So the industry the next 6 months is going to take time to evolve. But I do think it's going to be very interesting on how the industry evolves. I don't think it's a shame this isn't. Texas is really a different state when it comes to real estate from other states, because there's so much more. But they reckon that one of the things that people said when they got to this, they said they believed that the cost of housing was going to drop. I think it could have the other effect.
Yeah, because they don't.
I think it could have the opposite effect from the property of the houses dropping. They flattened off a little bit this year.
Right.
I think next year, I think you're going to see them increase, because what's happening is multinational companies are coming in, snapping up a lot of the houses.
That is true. That's making it.
And then it's making the rents go. I had a tenant come to me about 60 days ago, and we increased the rents every year, and it was just like a $50 increase. I try to keep them, reasonable. And they turned around and said, "Oh, we decided we're going to move out." So I thought, well, that's a bit abrupt for a $50 increase. Anyway, what she basically did was she came back with a tan between her legs in about 30 days and said, "I can't find anything in the price range that I want, in the area that I want." She said, "So can I extend the contract to just add the $50 on?" And that's what we did.
Yeah, it's getting harder. There was actually an article that came out that there's a problem with this is in Philadelphia, of course, so it wasn't in Texas, so we didn't talk about it. But there was an article that said that the corporations that were purchasing all the homes were fueling the drug problem out in the Kensington area of Philadelphia, because of the fact that, they're purchasing all the houses. People can't afford houses, and now they're on the streets, and they're kind of, obviously there's a bunch of drugs on the streets, so it's making it really hard for people to, get in.
One of the things I would like to talk about on the other podcast that we do, which is the Olympian Table, is about the increase in over 50-year-olds now that are living out of cars.
Yeah.
They're working at McDonald's, they're working people, and they are living out of cars.
Living out of cars? I saw it. We will talk about it in the other. I guess we'll go too far into it. But I mean, honestly, speaking of corporations purchasing, getting all these apartments, we have another problem that was happening here in Houston.
That's a good lead.
So we're talking.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So Kay found this article, which is pretty interesting. So Kay, I'm going to let you explain it, okay? So we're not talking across one another.
It's ironic. I don't know. It says, essentially, an investor blocked Fannie Mae foreclosure of Houston apartments. So, an owner has $95 million deal to sell. Investor SITG claims foreclosure attempt based on manufactured technical non-payment defaults. Essentially, what happened is that a investment firm here, they put in $5 million stake in in an apartment complex called Village at Piney Point. It is not technically in Piney Point, but they're just using that, and it's a 1,100 unit complex. And
let's just explain to everybody. Piney Point is a very, very upscale part of Houston, isn't it? But this technically isn't really in Piney Point, which is the name of the apartment complex.
Yeah.
But carry on. Sorry for interrupting.
Oh no, it's okay. This is
But the investment firm Stig or whatever it is, requested an emergency restraining order last week
Mm-hmm.
in an attempt to protect its 5 million stake in Village at Piney Point, a 1,094 unit complex.
Yeah. And
Big
so
unit.
that's huge. And essentially what happened is that it says Calkin Capital, which is the other people, they took out a $73 million loan in June 2023, valued at 110 million at the time. Before they closed on the mortgage, SITG invested $5 million ownership. Um, and it says this is not the first time Fannie Mae has been prevented from foreclosing on this specific property. They got an earlier injunction to block a foreclosure sale scheduled for the 2nd of July. So that's crazy. And then so we took a look at the complex. How do you feel about the complex, Stephen?
Well, we got some Google reviews basically on the complex, and what was it? One? What was the Google reviews?
So they're 3 stars, but you could tell some of them are faked. Most of the most recent ones are 1 stars, and there are a ton of photos that are just awful. So, do you have the reviews, Stephen? Because they're bad
They
reviews.
are bad reviews.
And I'll show you some of the pictures as well, so that we can kind of look at what the people are actually
Yeah,
talking about.
go show everybody some pictures of the complex. It didn't look too bright.
I mean, if you want to swim in a green pool, if that's what you feel like doing.
But one of the
Um,
other things I just want to say is if you've got 1,094 unit complex, each unit is not worth 87,000 in my opinion.
yeah.
But there again, it depends on an investment property. What really depends is how much capital it's generating. I mean, the best way to avoid a foreclosure if it's like this is to try and get an offer on the property, do what they call in the industry maybe a short sale. But these people are digging in. The other thing they could do, I don't know how much property people that put $5 million in are doing. They could also declare bankruptcy, which would sort of I'm not there to just say I'm not there to give any legal information, but that's what a lot of people do that are going into foreclosure. They declare bankruptcy, which kicks the foreclosure down the road. But that can only kick it down the road for a certain time.
Yeah.
And then they have to do what they call a trustee sale, where all the contractors are paid off. The unfortunate part when they do bankruptcy is the contractors don't get paid pennies on the dollar. They don't get paid their full amount.
That's terrible.
It's always the small guy that gets kicked up the ass.
True. Man, these are just so bad. I mean, they're showing pictures of people with boots on their cars. They're showing pictures of people, they're showing broken windows. There's trash everywhere. I don't know what the heck this thing is. I don't. I have no idea. There's a picture of just a lot of, is that insulation on the floor and a smoke machine. The pool is green, different things like that. So I can completely understand why people are upset. And there's trash literally everywhere. People are saying that there's potholes. Like, Steven, do you have any of the reviews that kind of caught your eye?
No, I mean, to me, I just think, just look at the reviews and it's all there. It's
Yeah.
not somewhere that encourages me to, live in that apartment if I was looking for an apartment.
Yeah, like this review says this place is a literal slum. This is 2 months ago, by the way. They wanted to do the foreclosure on July 2nd, right? So this was right before they tried to do the first foreclosure. It says this place is a literal slum and should be
I
shut
don't
down.
quite know how a restraining order works, but that's a legal question for, an attorney. I'm not an attorney, but it seems very strange that they put a restraining order on it. But as I said, I've worked with Fannie Mae in the past. I think Fannie Mae do a lot of good work.
I think yeah, I think I think they're just trying to get it until they get their $5 million back. That's what they're trying to restrain it until they get their $5 million back
But
from
this is one of
Calkin.
my arguments is to that, and $5 million is a hell of a lot of money.
Mhm.
But if you put $5 million into an investment or a loan, you know what you're getting involved in. If you don't know what you're getting involved in, you should know what you're getting involved in.
Yeah, because I
So if you do a project and the project fails, just like I bought shares thinking they're going to go, or Bitcoin, and I think they're going to go through the roof, then sometimes it doesn't quite work where I think it's going and
yeah.
at the price that I paid for it. So, you know, it's an issue. And so I think to me, as hard as it is to say for these people, 5 million is a lot to lose, but at the same time, you know, they know what they got into.
Yeah, and I'm wondering
And
if
do you know the difference between a Fannie Mae loan? It's government backed.
yeah.
So it's government money that they are trying to get their money back on. And that's one of the reasons why I don't think they should get it.
Yeah, I mean, they're not even I think it's funny that the Calkin group the obviously the government has asked them for they want their $73 million back, and then this investment firm, they want their $5 million from the Calkin people. But I'm wondering if they even saw the complex before deciding to invest in this, because I mean, this is not the best complex. I believe it was what 2022 is when they invested. So this is it does. I mean, this is
Well,
just it.
they would have seen it a number of ways. I mean, hopefully they would have viewed it, but two, they would have had an appraised value of the property, because to get a loan, you've always got to get, and the bank, if you're loaning money, will always get an appraisal
That's true.
of
They
the
said it was
property,
110
which isn't
million.
just about looking at the property and, you know, making sure that the windows aren't smashed. I mean, they're looking at the books. What my question is with a lot of this is, what a lot of investors do is every 3 or 4 years they refinance the house or they refinance the property, then they take the money out and they buy another property. Do you understand?
Hmm.
They're taking out their equity of the property. Is this a case of that? They're taking their equity out of the property at 110, so they found ways to possibly overvalue the property. Do you understand?
Hmm.
So they could take more money out and then put it in another property or another house or whatever to develop their portfolio. I mean, that's what investors do to increase their portfolio.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. Because it looks like, there are a couple of pictures, and a couple of them look, they've got a nice pool, right? But then every other picture from actual people that live there, the pool's green. It's disgusting. And then someone said this, and this might be what happened. It says, we've been living here for 5 years. In the beginning, it was good, but the last 2 years, everything has gone downhill, and now it's the worst condition ever. Nobody comes to cut the grass. You can find trash everywhere, and nobody cares for maintenance. So I mean, that's probably what happened is like, it was probably a decent when they first invested, it was probably at least semi decent. And then now it's just awful. I mean, people are, people is like, don't,
Well,
horrible
all I
staff.
can say is I hope they get it sorted out. Further down the actual thing, it says the developer Medistar defaulted on a $135.8 million loan.
So everyone in this whole,
Terra Capital also required the landmark Esperion complex in a foreclosure action earlier this week.
wow.
Fannie Mae did not respond to a request for comment.
Wow, that is crazy.
So, and this is what I'll also tell you: for people like Fannie Mae to put this type of property in foreclosure, it costs them money
Yeah, yeah,
because you've just got property sitting there. I highly doubt if you know because they would. What are they going to do? Kick everybody out?
yeah. I mean,
I don't think they could do that. They'd have to honour the lease. Um, I think basically they might take on a management company to start tidying it up. put in a position, and hopefully then they could sell the property. But really, that's what the current owners should do, you know. And perhaps they're a bit cash poor at the moment. There's a lot of that going around.
That's true.
Now, there again, if they was paying agents commissions, perhaps they could get the property.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I was going to bring up earlier on, and I forgot to bring it up, is one of the things that I say to everybody, and I've sort of, it's been mentioned in some of the classes, is, you know, realtors don't work for free. So if somebody's offering a little bit of the pie, you understand, you know, it's some of the buyers are going to walk past the property. They're going to choose to walk past the property if the sellers aren't helping them with. It's not going to be the realtors, because if not, the way it's done now, because the realtor has got to get the form signed before they can even show the property.
Right.
So what's going to happen is some buyers are going to say, no, we don't want to see this because the seller is not paying us any commission for use.
That's crazy.
Do you understand?
Yeah, that is this is going to be an interesting turn. I can't wait until the end of the year where we talk about how it's affected us, you know, in the office and things like that. I'm intrigued to see how, you know, everybody kind of talks about how the changes happen in 4 months.
It'll be an interesting time.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about some really good news. I want to talk about one of my favorite people. I would love to have the pleasure of meeting this lady sometime.
You've already met me. I'm just kidding.
But I would love to meet this lady. One is a past Olympian, and also I think she's absolutely incredible. And I'm glad to say she's from Spring, which is just outside Texas. The one and only Simone Biles. She's sharing a sneak peek at the progress on her Texas mansion after medals-laden trip to Paris Olympics. And this young lady, I think, is absolutely incredible. I think she's a leader. She shows all the good principles that an Olympian should show, and I think she's an incredible example to, you know, she's hardworking. You know, she's hardworking. I think she is dedicated. You know, she deserves every little bit of success that she's got. We've got some pictures of the mansion, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Got them shown. And to me, I don't want to give anything away, but I think I think the home is probably on one of the local lakes that we have. Obviously, with the photo you have, I've got an idea which lake it probably is. But I'm not going to give that out because I think she deserves her privacy.
Maybe she lives in Piney Point.
There's no lake in Piney Point. But I've got my idea which lake I think probably looks like. But she is really an amazing young lady, and she deserves every little bit. Apparently, it doesn't say much about the property that she's. There's a few photos of the property.
Yeah, she's kind of talked about, you know, what she's hoping to put in it. It says she said that it's gonna have a game room. It's gonna be 2 stories with a game room, home theater, and a wet bar, and a balcony to overlook the water so far. So that's what she's kind of talked about.
Do you know what I like about it more than anything else? She's calling it a mansion, but it's not really a mansion.
True.
And that's what I like about Simone Biles. She's still got her feet on the floor, and I'm glad that she's building it as she wants it. She deserves that. But at the end of the day, it's only a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath.
That's really nice.
And that's, honestly, I think that is an incredible thing, you know, for a young lady. 4,000 square foot. So, you know, that's got plenty of room, you know, for a game room and a man cave. I know she's married to an American footballer. But, you know, the truth of the matter is, I think with that, I think it's a relatively modest home in the mansion sense. Do you not think so?
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. 4,000 square feet, that's a lot of space. I was gonna say it's a
Let me tell you. I've got to tell you a funny story.
hmm,
Okay, the largest house I've ever sold was a house in River Oaks.
hmm.
It was 8,000 square feet.
Oh wow.
It was a French style house. All right, and I will tell you, it was so big. When I was selling it, I even got lost
You're like, help, I'm over here. I'm in this wing of the house.
in it.
That is
I
so
did the
funny.
inspection and I did everything. Gradually, I got used to the house, but it was very, very difficult to, you know,
To navigate.
come to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is really nice for her to be able to, just come off of Paris and she's like, I'm gonna go to the house. I want to go home and I want to go to the house that I'm building. So I think that that's really awesome of her to do. And it's funny because we had Drake, right? The pop star Drake. He officially became a Houstonian, but we've never been able recently. But it's nice to have somebody who's viewed in a very positive light, come here and be able to just kind of showcase, uh, some more good stuff
I
that Houston
just,
has to offer.
I just feel that with what Simone Biles has accomplished as an individual, as an American, she's had dignity. She's got a lot of integrity. She showed that she's got a lot of hard work. She's taken endless amounts of criticisms, which I don't feel have been due to her, you know,
Hmm.
and I really feel that she's being very dignified about the whole thing.
Yeah, it's nice. I think
So,
so they have pictures of like her old places, the one that she purchased in 2020, and then they showed, just the different houses that she has. So it's great to see her being able to upgrade, and this is probably going to be like her dream home. So it's really nice. You know, Out of all of the craziness that we've kind of talked about today, this is a good kind of wrap up.
it's a nice thing, nice way to wrap up. Anyway, I have to move on. I've got some things I need to do for my office. I want to thank everybody for joining us at the Texas Real Estate Show. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We will be having some guests on here from a couple of companies over the next couple of weeks. I invited some agents yesterday to come onto the show, so we do look forward to getting them on the show and share their opinions about what's going to be happening in Texas regarding the whole lawsuit that the new rules start on Saturday the 17th and the new forms. But all buyers and sellers out there, please be aware that you are going to have to require to do one of two things: sign paperwork before going in the house. You are going to have to pay a fee. Um, that's going to be negotiable between um, you and the buyer's agent or the tenant's agent. You're going to have to pay a fee to even go in the house, or you are going to have to agree to pay them a commission. So anyway, until next week, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you joining the Texas Real Estate Show.
That's all for now.
Bye.